Whispers in the wires. In the sleepy town of Eldergrove, urban legends hung like fog in the air, thick and suffocating. The townsfolk often warned the curious youth about the notorious whispering wires, a tale that roamed the streets during the warm summer nights. According to the legend, if you dared to stand under the old telephone poles that lined Miller Avenue after midnight, you would hear the whispers of souls long lost, trapped in the wires, desperate to be freed. 4 friends, Jess, Kyle, Mia, and Sam, were the epitome of adventurous teenagers. One particularly warm night, with the stars twinkling mischievously above, they decided to challenge the legend. Armed with flashlights and a sense of bravado, they headed for Miller Avenue, laughing and teasing one another as the air clung thick with anticipation. "I bet it's just the wind," Jess proclaimed, trying to sound brave as she let her eyes scan the ominous street. The telephone poles loomed ahead, their decay accentuated by the few flickering street lamps that dotted the path. "I'd like to see the wind make whispers," Kyle shot back, a smirk breaking across his face. Everyone knew this was just a silly game, a story conjured to scare the younger kids. Or so they thought. As they gathered beneath the largest pole on the block, the atmosphere shifted. The laughter that had danced between them faded, leaving an unsettling silence that gnawed at the edges of their bravado. "All right, who goes first?" Sam proposed, glancing nervously around. They stood in a tiny circle, their silhouettes merging into the shadows. A collective breath was drawn as Jess stepped forward, her heart pounding within her chest, and placed her hands on the fraying wood of the telephone pole. She closed her eyes, waiting for something to happen. A shadow danced behind her eyelids, a flicker of doubt tugging at her. Suddenly, a soft rustling sound filled the air, echoing against the silence of the night. It was subtle at first, like the gentle rustle of leaves. Then, the whispers started, a soft, echoing hum that threaded through the boards above them. Caught between dread and disbelief, Jess slowly opened her eyes. "Do you hear that?" she asked, voice trembling. "Hear what?" Mia replied, a sardonic edge to her tone. But as Jess hesitated, a gust of wind blew by, chilling them to the bone. The whispers intensified, becoming clearer, more insistent. The others exchanged wary glances, and they all pressed closer together, eyes darting to the shadows that lurked beyond their flashlights. I think we should go," Mia spoke, her fear palpable. "No, we can't. We're here now," Kyle countered, yet even he began to feel unease creep up his spine. A chime rang suddenly from Jess's phone. It was an alarm set for midnight. She fumbled to silence it, but then her phone flickered with a strange static. The whispers grew louder, sounding almost like pleading. Each voice melded, forming chilling sentences that sent shivers racing down their spines. "Help us, trapped, hidden." Panic erupted. Sam grabbed Jess by the arm, urging her to break away, but as they turned to run, something caught Mia's gaze. At the edge of the shadows, under the flickering street lamp, stood an apparition, a figure draped in a tattered coat, its face obscured but its mouth twisted in a soundless scream. "Mia, come on," Kyle shouted, grabbing her and pulling her away. They sprinted down Miller Avenue, the whispers chasing them, a cacophony of voices that clawed at the edges of their minds. Every few steps, Jess felt pulls, like icy fingers grazing her skin, threatening to pull her back into the dark. They finally reached safety at the edge of the park, breathless and wide-eyed, hearts racing in their chests. Silence enveloped them, save for their hurried breaths. Did that really just happen?" Sam gasped, trying to wrap his mind around the night's events. "Whatever was in those wires, it was real," Jess said, her voice scarcely above a whisper. "It's just an urban legend," Kyle said uneasily, unwilling to accept the truth that loomed behind them. But deep down, they all knew they would never speak of it again, would never dare return to Miller Avenue, for fear that the whispers would come again, that the souls trapped in the wires would call them one by one. As they left, the wind howled faintly, wrapping around the telephone poles like a shroud, and the peaceful facade of Eldergrove wore a sinister grin, savoring its secrets, its whispers still echoing through the night.